The 1928 Great Depression. Well, the Great Depression was basically not really a Great Depression. It was actually basically the Bloods and the Crips heyday, or basically Papa and basically Mr. Brown, Mr. Black. I don't, there's lots of different people. I'm not sure if they were even different people or the same person. But basically, during the Great Depression, any checks or any money that was given to white people was immediately taken back, or they found that when they went to the bank that they couldn't get their money even if the check was valid. So, and like I said, Mr. Brown would also give out cash to white people, be like, "Here's your cash," blah blah, and then immediately they would take the money back, and they would even rape the women just because. And that was between 1920 and 1950 or so, throughout the Great Depression. That was Papa, the Crips, the Blacks, basically. It was their little joke to everyone. Basically, they would roll the film and then they would stop it, take back the money, rape the girl, and then continue rolling the film, like I say. And then they would play this saying that they were such great people. Yes, the black people, they're helping out so much, the white people, because they care. Truth is, no money was ever transferred or exchanged hands. Anyway, the Irish noticed this right away, and a lot of other people noticed this. So anyway, and then that money is immediately handed over to some black person who probably raped the girl. Actually, I think that was it. He would actually give the money to the person that raped the girl, and a black person. So that's what he was doing around 1920 and 1950. So Bloods, Crips, Blacks, basically. And that's basically what he did. Yeah. It wasn't really a Great Depression, and they fired all the women, and then raped them. Like I said, if you're a woman and you worked between 1910 and 1930 or so, or 1940, you were raped for being at work or going to work. And if you're a guy, you probably were shot. And then they would blame it on some Chinaman or somebody else. And then they would arrest the Chinaman. So, two for the price of one, basically, the way Mr. Black, Mr. Brown, and Papa saw it. Anyway, this became entirely clear around 1940 or 1950 with the Olympics, where they actually switched over between from the film roles to, because they used to do that and they used to broadcast it or whatever, and then they would show the movies or whatever they'd print. There was a different process. But I wanted to speed that up, and I spent $7,000 back then, or $12,000 to basically, get this new system put in where it's live TV. So they set up all the cameras and everything to view the whole Olympic site. And Mr. Brown or Papa or Mr. Black go to do their normal thing like they normally do. Like I say, they roll film, and then they hand out the money or whatever, or talk to the things, and then the cameraman and the other guy, the radio guy, walk away or whatever. Anyway, and they just leave the cameras there. Now, cameras are live feed. And then they go and rape the women like they normally do every single time with film. Anyway, I think the Irish had a feeling that they were going to do this because they do it every single time, and then they stop it, and then they beat up anyone. So basically, like I say, on live TV to the whole world, Mr. Brown and a couple Yankees, I think Nixon or somebody might have been there too. Anyway, and I think they rape some women in the stands or something. They come out and go "hoo" or something like that, and they just go down on some women. I don't know exactly what happened. Like I say, whatever it was shocking and horrible. And like I say, they assume because they have a gun or remove the guy with the mic, they cut the feed to the mic that's at the stadium, but they don't cut the feed to the mic for the radio announcer that's at the station. And so they're shooting people, and actually they rape people, and then I think they end up beating up someone. They beat up someone. They're shooting someone. They shoot a girl, and I think they shoot a girl after they raped her, because they got those little things so they can just move the things off, and the guy comes in and just starts going on her, and the girls know what's going to happen next. And basically they're raping these white girls, on live TV to everyone, and the radio announcer is like, I don't know what he said really, to tell you the truth. But basically, pretty much this was Mr. Brown, Mr. Black's downfall. And also, I believe Nixon and some Yale and Harvard boys or whatever, because they participate as well. And then later on, they would say, "Oh, blah, 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 we didn't know, or we were forced." And it's like, no, they weren't. They weren't forced. They were part of it. So, anyway, the Irish and a bunch of other people know that this is going to happen, although they didn't. I don't think they knew the exact full extent of what was going to happen next. But basically, it just shows them. It shows Mr. Brown, Mr. Black, and everyone for the precinct they are. And this is This is 1940 or 1938 or something like that. 1930 something. 1930, 1940. Anyway, Mr. Brown and Mr. Black and some of the other black people get in the car right away because they're starting to get resistance. Everybody's getting mad and people are coming into the stadium. And I think they actually even start shooting. They get back, and they start shooting, and they start shooting the crowd like crazy. And they literally hose their way through the crowd until their clips are empty. And then they change out the clips for the spares or whatever, and they put the clips back in. And you know how what a Tommy gun can do, or what's called a Kalashnikov or whatever it's called, can do in a crowd. It'll go through 5 or 6 different people. So they as the people are coming into the stadium to help these people or whatever, they're basically shooting their way, and they shoot their way all the way to the station, and then they go in there and they shoot the radio, and they put a gun to the head of the radio announcer and go because he was saying basically what was happening, like, oh my god, and because and I think somebody, one of the other Irish is like, we're gonna get this on film, and they swivel it around so they can see what the people are doing, and you see the people going down the corridor or something like that, and you can see the flashes and stuff like that. And they did this like 1938 or so. And like I said, I had every TV in the town, and I had every TV in like 3 other cities, basically tuned into the Olympic Games. So, and those are my birds that they released. So anyway, so it's basically JFK, Nixon, and I think Jimmy Carter and some of the other ones, and also the Mr. Brown, Mr. Black, and so much of other people. There's one black guy I think that's missing. I forget. Anyway, though, so basically, basically Bloods and Crips are routed out right then and there, because there's no cutting the feed. Well, they could have cut the cable, but nobody thought of that. I guess they were panicking. I don't know. Anyway, it shows them. And later on, they try and do this thing where they play it on TV, where it's like, oh, well, look, the Irish attacked, blah, 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 NRA. And it's like, and they try and cut in some things where it's like an Irish going, blah, 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 Irishman, but they paid to go, da, 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 in a movie-like situation, and then it shows the other thing in their backs. But no one believed it. Anyway. So, yeah. So anyway, so they're fingered right there, basically. I mean, they're basically live TV to everyone, to all the people in that city and 3 other cities, and on national radio. So, and that's basically what pretty much brought down Mr. Brown and Mr. Black and Harlem and Wolf and a bunch of other Bloods and Crips, and also a whole bunch of congressmen. And then they spend the rest of their life trying to cover it up